What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It is my retro gaming podcast where almost every week a buddy of mine and I sit down and we geek out about the games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blank. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And before we get into anything, let me just say thank you so much to everyone that has reached out with supportive messages, kind words, said, hey, where the fuck are you? Are you dead? During my little 2-week hiatus there, I really appreciate it. I was looking out for myself. I'm doing great. The CEO is hanging in there. It was just a lot of stuff away from the podcast, real life, that was getting a little too heavy to carry, and I needed some time off to recharge a little bit. So I'm feeling really good. Thanks again, everybody, for all the support and your patience. And we are back with this week's episode 317. I'm as charged can get. And I suck at my job. But anyways, we're back with a bang to talk F-Zero X for the Nintendo 64. Easy for me to say. Now, I hate that this is the truth. But the fact is that despite my constant badgering of Nintendo to show F-Zero more respect, the only entry in the franchise that I've actually put any real time into is the Super Nintendo game. So I pretend on the surface to be an F-Zero fan when in reality, behind closed doors, the man never drank a duff in his life. Shout out to when he gets that reference. I'm a phony. I'm a big fat phony. But I'm righting those wrongs now. I'm playing more F-Zero thanks to Nintendo hearing our cries and adding more F-Zero games to Nintendo Switch Online. And I started with the Nintendo 64 entry. Now, I've been pretty critical of 64 over the years. Growing up, I didn't love that system. But you know what? I really am kind of starting to warm up to it. There's something... I think the controller's abomination. I don't think the games look all that good. I think a lot of them kind of control like shit. But there's something about that system that is just kind of starting to win me over. It's melting the ice on my dark, dark heart. And F-Zero X is helping the cause because this is just a really, really good video game. It is fucking tough. Does not hold your hand. This is not Mario Kart, but it is a rock-solid racer with a phenomenal soundtrack, a tough but fair gameplay challenge, tight controls, awesome tracks. It just runs silky smooth. Really solid game. And I have a really solid co-host this week in pending Remember the Game Hall of Famer Mark McCue. And we talked about how much we both suck at this game, how silky smooth it runs, the great soundtrack. We venture into the weeds a little bit, and we talk about the future of F-Zero as well, because Remember the Game isn't Remember the Game without rambling a little bit. And we'll get to all that in just a minute, because speaking of rambling, you know what it is. It's time for another edition of the Remember the Game infamous intro. Dun, 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 dun. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome aboard. Consider this your warning. Listening, our intros are a little long, but they're a good time. We talk video games and stuff. It's a lot of fun. And skipping them is exponentially easier than beating F-Zero X, with less crashing too. So if you do want to skip it, go to about the 30-minute mark. You should be in F-Zero talk. I recommend hanging around. Let us talk video games with you. Have some fun with us. Shout out to everybody that came by my extra live stream this year. I know we had to split it up into 2 different weekends, but the turnout was incredible. There were so many generous donations. Shout out to everyone that came by. We ended up raising about $19,000 Canadian this year for the Stollery Children's Hospital, which is fucking crazy. Donations are still open. I'll be doing some prize draws. Around the second week of December, I'll be giving away some video games and some merchandise of Remember Game swag. So if you donate $20 or more in your native currency, you will be entered in those draws. You can find the donation link at rememberthegamepodcast.com. And thanks again, everybody. Really appreciate you. All our merch is at rememberthegamepodcast.com as well, but I'm not going to plug it right after I just plugged our charity stream. Shout out to Joe from 4545 Creative for designing all of it, though, because Joe is the man. And of course, if you don't like clothes and you don't want to donate money to the sick kids, you can just donate money to this big fat podcast host you're listening to right now over on our old Patreon. You know the spiel, right? Our Patreons get up to 4 ad-free podcasts a week. We talk The Simpsons. We talk more video games. I ramble about whatever the fuck I feel like. There are literally hundreds of episodes waiting for you the second you sign up, and you don't even have to pay if you want to check them out. You can go to patreon.com/rememberthegame, sign up for free, and get access to a dozen bonus podcasts if you want to see what they're all about. It's good times. Now, normally this is where I would give you a sneak peek at last week's episode of Expansion Pass, as is becoming tradition, but I haven't recorded an Expansion Pass in about 2 weeks, so I don't have anything to show you right now. But we are back, like I said, regularly scheduled programming now. This week it'll be Expansion Pass number 236, and it'll be a modern game review. I'm going to tell you what I think of The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which I actually finished a couple of weeks ago. I was going to tell you what I think, but you know what? No, you got to wait for the episode if you want to know what I think of Echoes of Wisdom. It's good. It's not great. It's good. So it's a very good, fine game. But we'll get into what makes it good and not great on Expansion Pass this week. So again, Patreon subscriptions start at just $3 a month. You get new shows every week. You get instant access to literally hundreds upon hundreds of archives bonus podcasts. And not only that, but you can join our 1,000+ member Remember the Game Discord. You get a chance to vote in our Patreon polls every month. One is running right now. You get the ability to submit comments to be read on our shows. You can DM with me. You get discounts on merch. And you even get a shout out and get to hear me mispronounce your name like I'm about to do to most of these people. It's been a couple weeks since I did one of these, so I'm sorry to some of you that signed up a couple weeks ago for the wait. But a huge thank you to all of our newest Patreons. Josh Le Corsier, I think I fucked that one up. Brandon Vericano, probably fucked that one up. Jarius Harris, Tushar S, Cathode J, Smelly Rex, Matt, Follex, Big Church, Supa Koopa, Scoop Hoops, Guess Who Likes You? He can't hear you. His ears are full of gauze. Brendan A. Rousen, Robbie Johnson, Eric Joseph, Andres, Michael Seawall, Gerald Reyes, Jarek sorry, Jarek. Bat Fucher, I get what you're trying to say, but I'm not going to say it like that. One Bad Day, Keith Certain, and Brian A. That might have been the worst batch of shout-outs I've ever done. I feel like everybody with a weird or hard to say name signed up in the last 2 weeks. I appreciate all of you for signing up, though. Thank you so much, and welcome to Remember the Game Industries. Patreon.com/RememberTheGame. And you can find me over. Oh, they have gifted subs now. So if you know someone that listens to the show and you want to toss them a bone. I don't know how it works exactly because it's Patreon and nothing's fucking easy over there. But you can gift a subscription now. I'm sure if you Google it, the instructions are there. I'm sorry. I give you the full advice, but to try to talk somebody, like, you could do a podcast called, like, you could literally do a podcast called Patreon Problems. And it's just walking people through how to use fucking Patreon. They'd be long fucking episodes. I know this is a horrible sales pitch for the subscription I'm trying to sell you, but once you've got your podcasts on the service of your choice, it's really easy. I promise. It's just... Anyways, I suck at my job. And you can find me on Twitch or YouTube. I stream video games whenever I get a chance. This next month is pretty busy. I have a lot of comedy bookings and stuff for Christmas parties, but you can try your luck. Twitch.tv/RememberTheGame or YouTube.com/Remember the Game. All right, that's enough blowing myself. Let's blow some of you by blowing in some cartridges. It is our opening segment here on the show. I read a few comments and questions from our Patreons, usually gaming related, but not always. And we call this segment Blowing in the Cartridge.
He blows all right. He blows big time.
That's it, honey. Get into the spirit.
Let's blow. Our first blower this week is the Remember the Game infamous member who said, "How's it going, Adam and fellow hot dogs? This is not a rhetorical question. I await all of your responses. What do you consider 100%ing a game? You hear people talking about doing everything, but they're just referring to getting all of the achievements or trophies. Then you'll hear others say doing all of the side content plus main content, but not completing all of the achievements and trophies. Personally, I don't say I have 100% of the game until I've done all the content and got all the achievements or trophies. So what side do you sit on?" I got to tell you, like, I as a non-trophy or achievement hunter, I believe if I'm going to say I 100% of the game, then I got 100% of the in-game content. If I'm going to, like, if I come on and be like, "Hey, I got the platinum trophy," or "I got all the achievements," to me, that's a different saying than saying I 100%ed the game. Like, I 100%ed Spider-Man 2 on the PS5, but I didn't get all the trophies. Because there was a few you could get that had nothing to do with, like, getting a 100% completion score on your file. So I just differentiate. If I 100%, I say 100%. If I got a platinum, I say I got a platinum. So I think they're different. That you do both, I very rarely do either. That you do both is commendable. Albeit a little bit crazy, but commendable, my friend. Jarek Zatlukal said, "I got through the Remember the Game backlog and needed more, so new Patreon subscriber here. Thank you so much. None of my friends have a combined love for retro Nintendo characters as well as WWF No Mercy and the SmackDown series. I feel heard. Not sure if you've answered this before, but if you were a professional wrestler, what would your ring name be? Would you lean heel or face? And what is your finisher? P.S. If you read this, best of luck with my name pronunciation." So you knew it was coming, Jarek. I fucked that all up. I have answered this before, but I normally, like, when I'm creating myself, I usually just go with blank. That was my backyard wrestling name, blank. And my finisher is the blank expression, which is just Billy Gunn's Famouser. And I prefer to go heel, although being 5'6" and a comedic type as a backyard wrestler, I was a full-fledged, all 5 of our fans loved me. I was a babyface. When I create a wrestler now in video games, I either go with my classic Hoju, and his finisher is the Hojob, which again is the famouser, or he does the out-of-this-world space-age moon elbow, which is Kairi Zane's off-the-top-rope elbow. Or I have a super kick, which is a signature move that I call the superb kick. So for Hoju, those are his moves, and he's a full-blown heel. He's just a piece of shit. And then I also sometimes create Patch the Prodigy McGregor, who's a wrestler I made up, but he's not that good. He's nowhere near as good as Hoju. So Maverick said, to the people that say, get good, I can't stand you. It's the equivalent of people saying, just work more, just spend less, just insert ridiculous notion, while ignoring the fact that the system itself is broken. Shit gameplay mechanics, shit controls, shit camera, and all people can say is get good. How about the developers get good and not build a shit game and expect people to just deal with it because they aren't good enough to play your half-ass lackluster piece of shit game you decided to slap together and spread some lovable IPs over to polish the turd you call a video game. I'm not even going to say the fucking game I'm playing that made me think this. I don't know what game you were playing that made you think this. I will say, I'm not always going to blame the developers, but I'm also irritated by Get Good. And like I say it to people as well. You know when Get Good bothers me? It doesn't bother me if I'm like playing a game on stream or something and somebody comes by the stream and I'm losing and they're like, dude, Get Good. That, like occasionally that gets under my skin, but it's not bad. But when I get irritated is when I'm stuck somewhere and then I Google like help. You know, how do I find this or how do I beat this? And then because you can almost dude, I feel like every how do I do insert something here and insert video game here question has been asked on the internet somewhere. Someone has posted it on if you go to Google and type how do I do something in a video game, whatever it is in whatever game it is, somebody will have already asked it. And when you go in there, I hate when the first couple replies are just, buddy, get good, you suck, get better. Those are the ones where I'm just like, oh, if there was a way to digitally slap you, I would fucking swing. That drives me fucking crazy. Like, I find Tetris incredibly easy. I find racing games brutally difficult. But maybe you can't get past like level 3 in Tetris, but you're like a world-class racer. So then, like, why can't we just be nice to each other and help each other? That get good thing, fucking burns my ass. But I'm not going to blame the devs. I'll blame the devs if I think their game sucks. F-Zero X, developers did a great game. I just need to get good. I fucking hate me for saying that, though. The Rockstar. So my question this week is about Seeker Probation. Catching up on the expansion pass episodes, and I was horrified by episode number 210, the games you gave up on. This was dated the end of February, and I was given double Seeker Probation for handing in a redemption arc over the Souls games. You also gave yourself double Seeker Probation as you went back to Mario Sunshine. How long does the probation last for, and for what tier? I last 14 months since I started listening before I was given it. If you need to ask when you're off double Seeker Probation, then you're never getting off double Seeker Probation. It just happens. Don't question the fucking laws of physics around here. Because the universe will just collapse in upon itself. And then we'll all end up with yellow skin and 4 fingers. And we can't let that happen. We won't let that happen. And we can't let that happen. John C500 said, hey, Adam, rank these in order of pure joy. The anticipation on Christmas morning as a kid, putting on new boxers and socks as an adult, and taking that first sip of coffee in the morning. The new boxers and socks, while great, are last. That's the last place. I'm gonna rank the first sip of coffee in the morning at 1 and the anticipation of Christmas morning as a kid at 2. Well, I do think the anticipation of Christmas morning as a kid might be more powerful from a joy perspective than that first sip of coffee in the morning as an adult. I've been taking that first sip of coffee in the morning for over 20 years. I only got 13 or 14 years tops of Christmases where I was like a kid and got that like kid excitement. So I'm going to take the coffee because it's going to last longer. But that's Christmas morning as a kid is pretty fucking wild. Now imagine being Christmas morning as a kid. Well, you have your first sip of coffee, light a dart. That is fucking Berta. Fuck. What'd you get for Christmas? A pack of Marlboros. Brandon DeZeba said, hey, Hot Dog King, seeing as you've been to this Call of Duty Black Ops 6 thing, what are your thoughts on the campaign? I've been hearing amazing things about it. When I get some free time, I'm going to renew my Game Pass to check it out. Have a super week. So if you don't know, I started playing Call of Duty this year for the first time in my life. because it was on Game Pass, and I have just become completely smitten with it. I'm not particularly good, but I love playing Call of Duty Black Ops 6 multiplayer. I play the zombies too, but it's kind of gotten boring by myself. It's fun when I play with other people, but alone, it's kind of run its course. The campaign, people keep telling me the campaign is great. I fired it up, and it seems really good, but I'm only a couple hours in. I just have no urge to play it. I think my problem with the Black Ops 6 campaign isn't the quality of the campaign. It's the fact that, like, I've spent my whole life playing single-player first-person shooter campaigns. I'm playing one right now in Stalker 2. So I was like, I don't really need another one in Call of Duty. I'm like, I want to play this for multiplayer because I don't play multiplayer or anything else. So maybe at some point I'll fire up the campaign, but I just don't have a lot of, I'm not interested right now. I have too many other single player games that I want to play. Call of Duty is my one, like, wade into the seedy underbelly of the internet and play with other people and get called horrible things. Hasn't been too bad this year. I've had a few names, but it hasn't been too bad this year. JB Sharps said, "Hey Blank, have you ever wondered where you would have ended up if you hadn't started Remember the Game? Full-time comedian and hating life, or back at Uline and hating life even more?" You know what? I think had I never started podcasting, I'd probably be not. Uline would never take me back. They can go fuck themselves. I'd probably be working in a warehouse though. I think I would have quit stand-up because I was really getting disenchanted with the stand-up comedy grind, and the lack of money and respect and social life that comes with being a comedian every weekend and being on the road all the time. But Uline was never going to take me back. So I think had I never started this podcast, I'd probably be driving a forklift right now. Shout out to anyone. I just want to make this clear. I know a lot of you listen to this show at work. I appreciate all of you. If you're listening to this show while you're driving a forklift, I just gave you a fist bump. Shout out to my fellow forklifters. That's what's up. Just not at Uline. Fuck that. And finally, it's letter time. It's letter time. Hot Cheese Sauce said, "Hello, Hot Dog Lord. I've got a question for you. When you play a game and you're given a choice to play as a good character or an evil character, which path do you usually go down? And why do you think that is? I always love the idea of being an absolute asshole in games, but I end up playing as a good character. I blame the fact that you were always the good guy in games back in the day, and it's just wired in my brain now to be good." I 9 out of 10. The character, like, I like to go evil. So if a character, like, the only time I don't go evil is if it's really fucking evil, or if I'm stabbing somebody. Like when I play Mass Effect, I will literally never do anything to hurt the Krogan. Like, and I don't give a fuck if that's like Paragon or Renegade or whatever the fuck. The Krogan are my favorites. Rex is my boy. I'm ride or die. Same with Garrus. I'm ride or die with those two, and I don't care what way I have to play. I'm not hurting them. But normally I like to play the villain. Like when I played Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, me and HK-47 would have just destroyed the entire galaxy if we'd had the opportunity. I'm playing Stalker 2 right now, and I haven't had a lot of like decisions to make yet about whether I go good guy or bad guy, but I'm going full-blown bad guy. Like if I run into somebody out in the woods, out in the wild, and they're not trying to kill me, then I'll have conversations with them and accept their quests and usually go do their quests and collect my reward. And then as soon as they let their guard down, and I'm taking everything I got off of them and walking away. And I wondered why I'm so... Same as like in pro wrestling, I love heels. I've always been a fan of the bad guys in movies. I like my favorite Star Wars character is Darth Vader. I like villains. And I know this is going to sound like... So at first I thought like maybe I'm like a murderer that just hasn't murdered yet. But I don't really have an interest in murdering anyone in real life. I think what it is, well, I'm certainly not perfect. I genuinely do try to be a nice guy in real life. And so video games are like a form of escapism, right? And so I'm like, a video game is a chance for me to do all the things that I don't have the balls or the heart to do in real life. So I like to go villain. I like to play a different kind of character. I like to go villain, and not always, but most of the time when offered the chance, I'll play as a female. I like to be an evil female. It's my alter ego. Hoju. Anyways. Yeah, I like to play evil. That's just me. I'm an evil person. My Switch is set to evil. That's what it is. Anyways, thank you for all the submissions, everybody. We got to keep this ball rolling. Let's switch things up and get to our Smash Hit segment, the official game show of Remember the Game Industries. Play one, remake one, erase one. And a huge thank you to Classic Concentration from the NES for unknowingly providing us with the theme music for the show. The rules are simple. Every week I give our Patreons 3 retro video games they can play one as it was released, remake one as a modern game, and the third is erased from time forever. And as always, there are no wrong answers, but there is a right one. We'll get to that in a minute. And this week we're talking fzero X. So I went with 3 more Nintendo 64 games, but admittedly I came up with this one about 3 weeks ago, and I don't remember what theme I was going for. So they're all Nintendo 64 games. Wave Race 64, Pilot Wings 64, and Star Fox 64. And 43% of people said they would play Wave Race, remake Star Fox, and erase Pilot Wings, which I'll tell you right now is not the way that I would go. So let's see what a few of you had to say here, and then I'll tell you what the right answer is. Grimmies said, I'll play Star Fox 64. It holds up incredibly well. Each playthrough is short enough to finish in one sitting. It has multiple difficulty paths and even some hidden levels. I'll remake Pilot Wings. The concept was absolutely fantastic. Figuring out how to get the best score with each vehicle is a blast, but it could definitely use an update with modern controls, bigger maps, and crazy draw distances. And that leaves us with a racing Wave Race 64. Simply put, Blue Storm on the GameCube was way fucking better. I may not agree with what you have to say, sir, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. Justin Combustion said, sound logic, though. I like that you explained yourself, Grimmies. Justin Combustion said, I guess this is the popular choice for a reason. All of these were the first Nintendo 64 games I ever played. I'll play Wave Race, amazing water mechanics, and I yearn for the blister in the center of my palm from doing tricks with the joystick. I'll remake Star Fox because I fucking love the characters and world here, but the game needs a ton of love. And I'll erase Pirate Wings. It was an oldie and a Pilot Wings. Not Pirate Wings. I'll erase Pilot Wings. It was an oldie and a goodie at first, and then it goes nowhere. Sorry, but these wings need clipping. All right, that's a solid. That's sound. I'll give that sign off an 8 out of 10. That's not bad. Jason Durham said, I'll play Star Fox 64. First off, the title would be stupid if it weren't remade in 64-bit graphics. And honestly, what's the point? Why? Or honestly, at that point, why? Remake Wave Race. Okay, so now my argument for the first is void, but it'd be so great to have updated water graphics and more tricks, courses, playable characters, everything, even if it was similar graphics. And then erase Pilot Wing 64. I never got into this one on the SNES or 64. And with flight simulators, why ever go back? That is a good argument. You do have flight simulators now. That's a good point. And that one kid, Nick, said, play Wave Race. It's a good little romp and a fun racer for its time. Remake Star Fox. I want to play through these incredible levels in high-def scenery and feel the ship controls deeper with preferably the DualSense controller and be a goddamn space fox with robo-legs doing barrel rolls. And that means it's bye-bye time for Pilot Wings. I didn't play you growing up, and with all due respect, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Well, it's not going through the door. It's flying away, Nick. God. I'm going with 9% of you. 91% of you are wrong this week. I'm going with 9% of you, including the Boa, who said, play Pilot Wings. It's okay, and the controls aren't completely ass-awful, surprisingly. Remake Wave Race. It has deserved the new game since it came out. Give me an updated Wave Race, damn it. And erase Star Fox. I'll have a craving to play it once every 10 years, and then I do, and immediately remember that I don't really like it. Hopefully it wipes my brain of the memory of thinking it was once fun. Not the same reasoning, but the exact same order. Actually, a little bit of the same reasoning. I'm going to play Pilot Wings because it is the one of these I haven't played, and I hate to erase games I haven't played unless I have to. I'm going to remake Wave Race because I love that game, and I think it would look phenomenal with today's graphical capabilities, etc. And I'm erasing Star Fox because fuck you, Slippy. Fuck you. I don't like Star Fox. I don't like the Super Nintendo one. I don't like Star Fox 64. I don't like foxes in general. They are evil and sinister looking. I like the stars, but no, I'm erasing Star Fox. Fuck you, Slippy. That's it. Thank you, everybody, for playing along, as always. Now, normally this is where I talk about what I've been playing, but I've been gone for 2.5 weeks just playing video games like a motherfucking fiend. So I'll go, I will tell you what I've been playing, but I'm going to go quick, all right? For old games, I've been playing fzero X, which we're about to talk about. I've been playing Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse, which we're hopefully to talk about next week. I've been playing Mega Man Battle Network, which we're hopefully talking about the week after that. I have been playing Rocket Knight Adventures, which we'll hopefully talk about the week after that. So for stuff on the podcast, that's pretty well, there's basically your next month of Remember the Game. That is what I've been playing. And then we're hoping to wrap the year up with Secret of Monkey Island, but I haven't started playing that one yet. For modern stuff, I played a lot of modern games on my break. I've been playing a ton of Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Really fun. Not good, but really, really fun. I've gone back to EA Sports PGA Tour. I love the career mode in that game so much, man. I got totally hooked on it again, just listening to podcasts or YouTube videos and hitting golf balls. So I've been playing a lot of that. I've been playing Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl, which I know some people have been hard on because of the bugs and stuff like that. I haven't found it to be too bad. No worse than like a Bethesda game, and I love the world. I'm really, really enjoying Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl. I picked up Stellar Blade from Black Friday sales and started playing that. Really, really good. I'll do an expansion pass on that for sure. I've been playing Dave the Diver again. I've gone back to it. I'm almost done it. Got to put that thing to bed. I've been playing Inscription, which is a really solid card game on Game Pass that I recommend you check out. Played a little bit of Metal Slug Tactics, and it's not terrible, but it just doesn't have me right now. So I'm going to go back to it later. I'm not really hooked on it yet. And then when I have time, I'm sneaking in a game or two of NHL 25, mostly on the Be a Pro mode, and it's pretty fun. The Be a Pro is not great, but it's my favorite mode to play. So that's a lot of video games. That's really all I've done for the last 2 weeks is read and play video games and build Lego and watch The Penguin, which was spectacular. And then, it's about it. Nap a little bit. So, all right, we're going to pause here. We'll let a sponsor in here to peddle their wares. And when we get back, it's all about F-Zero X, okay? We'll be right back after this. We've had some great partners over the years here at Remember the Game, but I don't know if any of them have hit home for me quite like Hometown Hero does. No pun intended. Don't start. It's a transparent, honest cannabis company that helps people and gives back to those that have served their country at the same time. I mean, come on. As soon as I read about these guys, I knew I wanted to work with them. Hometown Hero is a cannabis company out of Austin, Texas, and they were founded back in 2015 by a U.S. veteran. They have two goals: create premium hemp products that can help everyone, and to support veterans by donating a portion of those profits to organizations set up to take care of those who have served. Hometown Hero products are of the highest quality, and everything they offer is made right there in the U.S. of A. Gummies, caramels, chocolates, drink mix. There's something for everyone. And what's more, their hemp is grown locally in Texas, which is something they should and do take a lot of pride in. And they offer certificates of analysis for everything they sell because they want to be clear that their products are as advertised, both in terms of potency and ingredients. No contaminants, you get what you pay for. Just how they conduct business is enough to get my good eyes' attention. But when you circle back to the fact that the company was founded by a veteran and they put such heavy emphasis on supporting veterans, this isn't just lip service. I'm not reading a script I was given here. I'm proud to have Hometown Hero associated with Remember the Game. Reclaim your evening. Visit hometownhero.com and use code RTG to take 20% off your first purchase. That's hometownhero.com, code RTG for 20% off your first purchase. This is an ad by BetterHelp. A band once said, "Work sucks, I know." And I think most people agree with them. Workplace stress is now one of the top causes of declining mental health, with 61% of the global workforce experiencing higher than normal levels of stress from their jobs. And while walking away from your job might not be an option, taking a little time every day to focus on yourself and your mental health can make a huge difference. I know in the summer I try to get outside every day, get a little bit of sun, and just enjoy the outdoors. It really helps. At least until my allergies attack, and then it's ugly. It's important to take steps to combat work stress, and therapy can be a huge one. It's not just for overcoming trauma. Therapy can help you define work goals, set some work boundaries, develop coping skills. It's like a cheat code for life. And if you're thinking, man, I'm too busy for therapy, well, look into BetterHelp. They make therapy as convenient as possible. You can meet with one of their over 30,000 therapists online and on your schedule, just like over 5 million people around the world already have done. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/rememberthegame. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. All right. Let's talk F-Zero X. As always, I like to let the listeners sound off on the game we're talking about before my guest and I hog the microphone. And we had a lot of comments this week, so let's see what you had to say. Lighty's World said, Mass Effect 3 and F-Zero X back-to-back. What a great time to be a hot dog. I had to revisit this game as soon as I heard a review was coming up, and I must say it still holds up. Although the driving felt a bit slippery at first, it didn't take long to adapt. This game will test your reaction time and pump up your adrenaline. I still prefer the Super Nintendo game a little bit more, but the N64 also helps F-Zero evolve in a great way. Now we have loop-de-loop, spiral, pipes, and more. It's like riding a sci-fi roller coaster with a perfectly fitting soundtrack. The music sounds like something Metallica would do, and I love it. Overall, it's a great transition to the best F-Zero game, F-Zero GX. Still worth playing and definitely an essential title for the Nintendo 64. I'll agree on that last part. I've been slowly buying up physical copies of my favorite retro games for every system, and I like F-Zero X enough that I'm going to add a physical copy to the old shelf here. because I quite enjoy this game. Slippery Pete said, this is my favorite F-Zero game. So many improvements compared to the SNES, like more cars, tracks, boost equaling your health bar, and not being a weird single-player racing game. They dial up the speed and music this time around as well, and then just when you think you're the best there ever was, you'll unlock Master difficulty, and soon realize you still have so much more to learn and hours to sink into this game. Amazing. Not many games give me the same intense experience as F-Zero X does. I never even got to the fucking third difficulty, so... Master difficulty, fuck me. Phil said, the first game I ever got from my N64. I just remember being blown away by the speed of the racing and the awesome soundtrack, especially Mute City and Big Blue. And those are the two most iconic. No question, Phil. No question. MKMT said, this game seems pretty good, and the 60 frames per second on the 64 is a great design choice. The music is good and it's fun, but it always gives me motion sickness. On original hardware, on Switch Online, 10 minutes in and I start feeling nauseous. Oh, well. Shaylee said that. Shaylee came down one night and I was playing it on the big screen in the basement and she was like, I can't watch this. I don't know. It's weird. I get motion sickness from like actual motion, but not often from video games. Like, try reading on a treadmill, man. I'll fucking puke everywhere. It's gross. And Chris, maybe that's just because I'm out of shape and I'm on the treadmill. But anyway. And Chris2105 said, fantastic game, awesome tracks and soundtrack to boot, a wide range of characters and vehicles, all with their own strengths and downfalls, carnage at the highest of speeds. I used to love the multiplayer with my family. It's nothing better than 4 people sitting around playing this, and when one player lost their vehicle for the rest of the race, that player gets a slot machine on their screen and can continuously spin, causing chaos to the other players watching your slot machine, drain the other player's energy meter, or inverting their controls. Pure carnage. I didn't play the multiplayer because I don't have any friends, but I did watch some footage of the multiplayer, and I agree. It looked pretty dope. That was the biggest thing the Super Nintendo one was missing, was a multiplayer. But it's all here in F-Zero X, and it's time for Mark and I to tell you about it. I keep talking about how the soundtrack is so good. I don't know how I'm going to pick which songs to play, but one of them is going to start up right now. And when it fades, Mark McCue and I are talking F-Zero X, which originally released on the Nintendo 64 in North America on October 27th, 1998, 26 years ago. You're fucking old. So am I. Enjoy the podcast. It's good to be back. Let's go. All right, joining me via the blank phone this week on a cold and dark Monday night to talk about the not cold and not dark, super hot and bright and exciting F-Zero X is the super hot, bright and exciting Mark McCue. Mark?
Now, I always forget this is called F-Zero X because I always have called it F-Zero 64.
Oh, is that right? I guess, well, you know, I'm actually, now that you say that, I am a little shocked that they didn't call it that, because there's so many, like, let's just be honest, Nintendo got pretty lazy with naming games in this era. Not just Nintendo, but people that made games for the 64.
Well, to the point where just any time a game came out, we would just call it X64, Zelda 64, Mario 64, Mario Kart 64.
Yeah, I wonder if Majora's Mask had never come along and the 64's only Zelda game had been Ocarina of Time, I wonder if we would just call it, like, if we would just
Zelda
be like Zelda 64.
Yeah.
Because you're right. And they did the same thing in the Super Nintendo. Buddy, if you go through the catalog of Super Nintendo games, it is the list of supers is a mile
Super
fucking long.
Soccer, Super Tennis, Super Mario.
Yeah, Superman is probably one. It's that fucking guy.
Free Willy.
Super Free Willy. No. But this week we are talking F-Zero X, aka F-Zero 64. Now I have to make a confession. I may have made this in the infamous intro that has yet to be recorded. But despite the fact that I have sat here and beat the F-Zero drum for years and been like, we need a new F-Zero, god damn it, the only F-Zero I've really played is the Super Nintendo one. I played a little bit of the GameCube one and a little bit of this one growing up, but primarily the SNES one. And I just have to say, there's a reason I keep calling for F-Zero to come back, despite not having played a lot of them. And that is because I fucking love F-Zero on the Super Nintendo. And after spending a few weeks, I spent most of my holiday playing games for the show, and I played a lot of F-Zero X on my Nintendo Switch. And I really, really like this game. I don't have a lot of bad things to say about it, to be honest. But Mark, this game fed me my own ass. This game is not easy.
I was playing on the easiest difficulty setting and was still getting rocked.
It's wild because like Mario Kart 64 really is not that hard of a game. And then people talk about Diddy Kong Racing. Now that I've played it, great game. But I do find the last couple races on the map where you're racing that main bad guy, some of them can be in the story mode. They can be pretty tough. They can be pretty hard. But F-Zero X, F-Zero X, like I feel like when you're playing Mario Kart 64 on 50cc, it's like, you need to try to lose. Like we're not gonna let you lose, you know. And then Diddy Kong Racing in the early races, they're like, do you know how to push gas? You're probably going to finish in the top 3.
You probably got this. I kind of like, my take on this is I think this was a game that was meant for adults, whereas Mario Kart, Diddy Kong Racing were games that were meant for kids, but could be also played by adults.
Sure. And I think
like this one's not for kids.
I really don't think it is. Like I played this one as a kid. My friend Sean owned it, so I used to play it at his house sometimes. We'd mostly play the death race, which we'll get into. But I think I've always assumed the reason we haven't gotten a new F-Zero game in so long is because they're never going to sell even a fraction of the numbers that Mario Kart does.
Well, Mario Kart 8 on the Switch is not one of the best selling games on the Switch. It's one of the best selling games of all time. At this point, any idea that Nintendo has for like a racing mechanic of some sort, I mean, if they're smart, they're putting it towards another Mario Kart. And
absolutely.
With Mario Kart, Mario Kart 8, we started to see some F-Zero energy in there. Like there was a lot
there's literally F-Zero tracks, and they're awesome.
There's F-Zero tracks in there, and there are points where you went straight up. There are parts where you would like be driving upside down. So I think that and not to be a doomsayer here, but I think Nintendo's given up on F-Zero. And all of that energy is going to be going into Mario Kart, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. I think they're taking a lot of cues from F-Zero and putting them in. Now, my guess for the next Mario Kart, and this could be dated like within a month, I could be proved to be wrong, but I think that the next Mario Kart is going to be more of a Nintendo racer than anything. With kind of like things all across the Nintendo. And I think we're going to see some F-Zero elements. I think we're going to see some Star Fox elements. Mario, Zelda, obviously.
Yeah, Metroid will be there. Like all those. Yeah.
Agreed. I don't think we're getting another F-Zero anytime soon. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't say no to another F-Zero. Another F-Zero would be cool, but I don't think it's happening anytime soon.
Now, I used to feel that way, and part of me still does, but I will say, because I agree with you, I think if you're Nintendo and you've only got a finite amount of resources and you're making a racing game, that money is going into Mario Kart. You'd be stupid. Quite frankly, as much as I want to do F-Zero, they'd be dumb to take some of their team and put them on F-Zero. My argument with F-Zero has always been, like, give it to an indie studio. Like, what would some of these studios do with F-Zero? Like they could do something incredible. Either like I'm starting to think Nintendo has it completely sunset F-Zero because we got F-Zero 99. They're adding basically every F-Zero game in existence to Nintendo Switch Online other than the GameCube one. I feel like it's them at least acknowledging that the franchise exists. And we have seen this like influx of F-Zero games on the Switch in the last 18 months. Again, with F-Zero on 99 and all the virtual games and stuff. I'm starting to wonder if maybe with this next system, they're like, hey, with the hardware, it's a little bit more powerful. I'm hoping they've given it to somebody else if they're not going to do it, but I'm not. For the first time since I started Remember the Game, I'm a little bit cautiously optimistic that maybe F-Zero's not dead forever. It's just got to be such a niche thing for them to do.
Do we count F-Zero 99 as a new game?
I do. I do. I will say too, like, hey, listen, as a diehard Punch-Out fan, I was like, man, where the fuck is Punch? Like, at least we're getting something. I look at it as like, there are Nintendo franchises, Star Fox, Punch-Out, F-Zero, Kid Icarus, Earthbound / Mother, whatever you want to fucking call it. There are Nintendo franchises that it's like they're guarding the bee. Like they don't do anything. And it's like
but like, at least Mother 3 exists. Mother 3 is done. It's out there. They just need to port it over to the state. Like they just need to port it.
I know, but it's just all I'm saying is that like we have seen a real like they've really shown F-Zero some love lately. So I don't know if it's anyway. Like it's the point is like so the Mario. I know we're not really. We'll get into F-Zero X. Mark and I were talking before the show started, and we were like, it's not that there's nothing to say about F-Zero X. It's a great game, and there's a lot to say about it. But it's not the deep. It's not. I haven't dropped one of these in a while. It's not the meatiest bone in the bird. So we were like, we're probably gonna get a little bit into the future of F-Zero. We just happen to start on the future of F-Zero. I can't help but play those two tracks, Big Blue and what's the other F-Zero? Mute City on Mario Kart 8. And especially when you're playing them on 200cc, it's really hard to play those and not think like, man, this would be fucking tight if this was a full game, like just of F-Zero. Like those are two of my favorite tracks in Mario Kart.
Those are great tracks.
They really are.
But I do think that that's what they're doing with. They're going to be doing with F-Zero.
Yeah,
is they're going to make it a bigger part of Mario Kart.
You might be right.
Which not necessarily a bad thing.
It's better than nothing. If you told me that it's either that or nothing, then I'll be like, yeah, put F-Zero in fucking Mario Kart. Why not?
Yeah,
like put an F-Zero Cup in Mario Kart. I don't give a fuck.
Again, I think that Captain Falcon's always going to be part of Smash.
Oh yeah, he's a mainstay for sure. That said, so you play those two tracks on Mario Kart 8, which are the most modern version of F-Zero we've gotten, and they're tight, they look great, they sound great, they play well. And then you go back to F-Zero X on the Nintendo 64, which is 26 years old.
Oh, Jesus
last month.
Christ.
Yeah, 26 years old. It came out October 27, 1998. So it's 26 years old. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that there's not a pretty substantial jump from F-Zero on the Nintendo 64 to F-Zero on the Nintendo Switch. But I will say, I ask you this, Mark. I don't know if I could name 10 Nintendo 64 games that have aged as gracefully as F-Zero X. Like, it still looks good, sounds good, it still plays smooth. It's like 60 frames per second, I think, which on the Nintendo 64
which is unheard of.
Unheard of, buddy. And unlike the Super Nintendo F-Zero, the biggest problem with Super Nintendo's F-Zero was that it was only one player. Like, it's has no replayability unless you're going for high times. This one you can do 4 players, and I haven't done it since I was a kid, but like it still runs well and looks good. And I will sit here right now and say I think this is one of the more impressive pieces of game in the Nintendo 64 library, quite frankly. Like from a tech standpoint, at least.
The 60 frames per second is the thing that surprised me the most about this.
64 frames per second.
Yeah,
I don't know. That would have been the worst.
Often you'd be playing this game, and you would forget that it is a holy shit 26-year-old game.
I know.
I mean, yeah. You like when you pause and you look at it, you can you're like, okay, well, like polygon count is pretty low. Like the backgrounds aren't that detailed. So they definitely that's kind of where they sacrificed for the performance, but man, the performance is outstanding.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like the vehicles do look kind of blocky, and the tracks look kind of the tried and true method.
Some of them are like, oh,
there's
blurry. 3 polygons in this vehicle.
yeah, absolutely. So like I agree that like they did kind of. I was about to say they kind of half-assed the graphics and stuff to make the track move fast, but I don't feel like it was half-assed. Like it looks good. And the thing is, like when you play other games, listen, I love Mario Kart 64 as much as an X person, but like when you look off the track, it looks like the background is made of cardboard and just sitting back there. Like they clearly focused on the middle, and even some more modern. Like I've played some racers on the PS2 and stuff for this show where they implement that blurry thing because I think it probably makes the game easier to run at a higher frame rate.
Yeah, and, like the fog effects.
Yeah. And I was genuinely shocked playing this game to get ready for the show, just how smooth and fast it ran. Like, and there was I don't know about you, I never once ran into a moment of like it chugging and stuttering and slowing down when there was 30 cars. That's the other thing, dude.
Cars.
There's 30 cars. That's nuts.
It's the most impressive part about this is that there's 30 racers on the track. Like Mario Kart had like what, 8 max?
Yeah, 8. Yeah. On the 64, yeah, 8.
Which, that's about the number you'd expect for like the Nintendo 64 hardware.
Sure.
No, 30, like they didn't need to have that. They were definitely showing off.
Yeah, and I think it works really, really well. I love that there's that many cars on the track. It's fucking awesome, frankly.
I love from this is a technical wonder standpoint. But when I'm playing it, I'm like, some of these cars need to fuck right off.
Well, and that's where I wanted to transition into the difficulty. I was going to ask you this. Like, did you play this one at all growing up, or have you just played it now on the Switch?
I just played it now. I think I played it at a friend's house a couple of times.
Okay.
But not enough to like have any lasting impact. Like 99.99% of my impression of this game that I'm going to be talking about on this episode was from my play of this game over the weekend.
Okay. Do you have a 64 controller for your Switch, or did you just use the Joy-Cons?
I just use the Pro controller.
Okay, because I will say because I have a 64 controller for my Switch, and
now, I'm one of those people that thinks that the 64 controller is bad. Actually,
oh, buddy, I get a lot of shit for it because I think it's an abomination. But
I think it's a very bad controller. So anytime I have the option not to use an N64 controller, I will.
I feel you, but I will say, especially since I started this show, for better or worse, a lot of Nintendo 64 games were clearly designed to work with that Nintendo 64 controller. And I will tell you, you put yourself at a significant, not that I'm saying you should go out and buy a 64 controller, but you are playing at a significant disadvantage with this particular game, not using a 64 controller. Like I was struggling to beat the cups on the lowest difficulty on my Switch, like with my Joy-Cons. When I sat down with my 64 controller, I beat all 3 first try.
Oh, really?
Like I beat them all. Yeah.
Here was my version of beating this game is I got through the races.
Yeah.
That was victory for me in this game.
I think this game is kind of designed to be like that. Like because I'm the same, like when I play Mario Kart, I need to get all the golds or whatever, like whatever I need to do to get the best possible first place, whether it's just finish first in standings or get all first places or whatever, I got to do that. With F-Zero X, like I mean, on the lowest difficulty, if you start to get good, it's probably a cakewalk to get first place in every race. I never did get first place in every race, but as a difficulty,
first place in a race. Again, this was a corporate gig of a game for me. Like the point was to survive.
Sure. If you don't know, in stand-up comedy, when we do corporate gigs, that's like a show for like a company or a Christmas party or whatever. And the joke is not, you don't go in there to crush. You go in there to like, hey, if I get through this and they hand me the check and aren't mad, that was a good gig. Yeah. I'm not kidding. Like this game is so like, we'll get more into the gameplay of it in a minute, but it is so clearly designed to be done with the 64 controller. Cause you are just barely touching that analog stick. And I find that much harder to do with the more sensitive like Joy-Cons and stuff. But the point I was going to make is when you're playing the Grand Prix mode, the career mode, whatever you want to call it, you do like, I think it's 6 races. Is it 6 races per cup?
Yeah,
I think it was. And you get points based on where you finish from 1st to 30th every race. And I was like, when I'm playing Mario Kart, I rage quit as soon as I don't get a first. Like if in Mario Kart 8, you need all firsts to get 3 gold stars. So if I have a race where I don't get first, I just start over. Whereas in this one, I was playing them all through, even if I wasn't getting first place. And I was doing it for a couple of reasons. One, because the only way to win at this game is to know these tracks like the back of your fucking hand. Like you need to know where the turns are and everything. But also for number 2, I like that, like, even I think it's the 30 racer system. Even when I wasn't getting first, I wanted to see where I would finish at the end of the Grand Prix because I was genuinely just having a good, like I wasn't letting myself get frustrated because I knew there was more of a challenge to it. And if you just put that aside and just play it because it's a fun game, like it, again, like I know we've said it a few times, but like, I don't know about yourself. I genuinely found this to be a really fun game to just shut my brain off and just play.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
and like I definitely like over the weekend that's kind of what I did as well. I just played the game. I didn't spend too much time like analyzing it. I just had a good time with it.
yeah. And it just it takes a lot of practice. Like, to get back to the control scheme of this, like, this isn't Mario Kart 8. I know I keep comparing it to Mario Kart, but they're the two Nintendo racing franchises. You know, you have to.
The comparison is kind of inevitable though.
Yeah. Like, when you're playing Mario Kart and you see a right-hand turn coming up, like a 90-degree-ish right-hand turn, you do that little hop and you start power sliding a few seconds before that turn and you kind of cruise around it. In this one, I was getting rocked at first until I looked up a few strategy guides and like ways to play. And the number one thing, and it took me a long time to get my head around this and really adjust my play style. The number one thing about this one is that, like, and I should have known because Super Nintendo was the same way. When you're coming up on a turn, like, to just jam the analog all the way to the left or the right is doing you no favors because you lose so much speed as you take like a sharp turn. And they were like, your best bet is know the turn is coming. And if anything, just use the left and right triggers to kind of, or in this case, the Z and right triggers on the 64 controller to just kind of slide to the left and right, like kind of shift your weight or do that side attack.
Really?
Yeah. And they're like, and if you do need to turn, do it as like feathered touch as possible, which I couldn't do with the Joy-Cons. But when I started using the 64 controller, it was so much simpler because every strategy guide and everything I read was like, at all costs, you want to keep your vehicle going as straight as possible, because the minute you start to take like a 30-degree turn, you're knocking 30% of your speed out. Like, you want to be going as, like, if you have a turn coming up where it's kind of going left at, at like a 15 or 20-degree angle, you almost want to get through it like without turning. If that makes, you just kind of want to glide around. And it was a real steep learning curve because I haven't played a lot of games like that. But once I got a feel for it, I think that's when I really started to fall in love with the game, because I was like, buddy, if you wanted to really sit down and just focus on the time trials of this and everything, you can lose yourself in the little intricacies of these turns and hours and hours of your life going into the end. Frankly, if you want to win it on a couple of the higher difficulties, you're going to have to do that anyways. Like, I'll be honest, I couldn't beat it. I ended up using the code to unlock everything because I couldn't beat it.
Oh, really? Like to get like the Joker and the X Cup?
Yeah. Because I was just like, I think if I put the time into it, I could eventually get there. But because I found myself getting better, but like, this game has a steep learning curve to it. Like, and it does not like welcome you in. It's like, hey, get out there and figure it out. Good luck.
Yeah, it's not like most games will kind of start you off pretty easy and then ease you. No, this game just throws you right in. It's like, learn the game, get good or die. Like, and that's the thing that I wasn't expecting from this game is most games, if you like fly off a cliff, if you like your car explodes or something, you'll lose a few seconds and you get right back on the track. No, this game, like if your car explodes or if you fall off the track, the game stops and is like, nope, try again from the beginning.
Yeah. Which the Super Nintendo one did as well. Like, if you took a jump and went off the track or you got blown up because you ran out of energy, they were like, wah, wah. And I literally just thought of this now. I'm sitting here talking about it, but I wonder if that's part of the reason F-Zero has died on the vine as well, because Nintendo, I think there was at least a time in the Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64 era where Nintendo wasn't looked as the kiddie system. Like, the 64 had GoldenEye and had Perfect Dark and stuff like that. And I think the GameCube era was when I think once the PlayStation 1 blew up, that was when Nintendo started to go more kid-friendly. And then the GameCube, for better or worse, I know it's got the occasional game, but it really started to go more that way. And then the GameCube F-Zero is, from what I remember, even more difficult than the 64 one. And then we didn't get another one after that. And I wonder if they are concerned that steep learning curve and the challenge of these games will turn off players when they know that they have Mario Kart as an alternative sitting there waiting for them.
And you know what? I don't know if that's necessarily like, I think there must be something to that, because I think you're right. I think this would turn off a lot of, especially like especially like kind of the audience that Nintendo has always been going for, kind of like families and casual players.
Yeah, you like if you like there's literally I know you like when you play multiplayer you can turn on like a bit of a handicap to help the player in last, but you like if I pick up Mario Kart and I play it against somebody that doesn't play a lot of Mario Kart, I'm probably going to beat them. But at least the items and stuff provide a little bit of zaniness and they have a shot. In F-Zero, it's like there are no items. If you run out of energy or leave the track, it's fucking over. I know you get to do the little slot machine thing in the multiplayer and fuck with each other, but that's it. Like there are no bells and no whistles. This is all about go as fast as you can, steer as well as you can, strategize with your boost as much as possible, and get to the finish line ASAP.
And like if you think about it, it is kind of like very antithetical to like the Nintendo philosophy of game design.
It is.
Because Nintendo like multiplayer games are very, very rarely 100% about skill.
Agreed. Yeah,
there's always like a wild card of some sort that could upend everything.
Yeah.
Case in point, I've been playing a lot of Mario Party with my brother, which is very, very much like what Nintendo multiplayer gaming is in a nutshell.
I would argue that Mario Party, like, I think if you were to go 50-50 between skill and luck to win at Mario Party, you might be giving skill a little too much of the pie.
A little bit. Here's the thing. Bradley beats me like 9 out of 10 times. So there is definitely some skill involved.
There's skill to it, but there's a lot of wild cards in Mario Party.
There's a lot that can happen in a game of Mario Party to completely like shift everything. Whereas like that's not really the case with F-Zero. F-Zero is 100% skill. Which is absolutely. Which is not really Nintendo's philosophy when it comes to multiplayer games, at the very least not anymore. So it is kind of cool they had F-Zero 99 on the Switch.
It was awesome.
But again, for that reason, I don't know if we get another F-Zero the way we know it, or if we do get another F-Zero, but with completely different game mechanics.
And I gotta say, like, as much as I want another F-Zero, I think if they come out with a new one, and they add a bunch of items or they add something to help, to make it a little bit more of a wild card. Like, I have to say, like, I wish I had. I know first world problems, cry me a fucking river. I have too many other games I need to. I have too many games to play. Boo hoo hoo. I wish I had more time to just sink myself into F-Zero X. I spent quite a bit of time with it on my break, but I was also playing Mega Man Battle Network and Castlevania 3 for the show, and then Call of Duty and a couple other games. But I wish I had just like, I gotta say, I wish I had owned this one when I was like 13, 14 years old. Because if this was like one of my 7 or 8 games that I had, and I had nothing to do but just quintuple down on it and learn everything, I think there'd be a little bit of big dick energy to being really good at this game. Like I think there is a place for games where there is no wild cardness to it at all. Like you said, this is the chess of racers. There is the only aspect of luck, in my opinion, in F-Zero X is whether or not you can destroy your rival. Because it's very hard to do, but if you do it once, you're golden. Yeah. But I was able to. So if you've not played it, we gotta take a break. You know what? Let's do the break. Let's do the break now because I don't want to get into that. Let's do the break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about the destroying cars and stuff because we'll get there. Okay. Let's do it. We'll be right back. Hold on to your butts. I sure hope whoever my sponsor was this week wasn't offended by being led into with "hold on to your butts."
Those are some cool ads there.
Buddy. I hope I had like a hemorrhoid medication or something there. That would have been "hold on to your butts." Preparation H. Hold on to your butts.
Do you know there's a hemorrhoid medication called Anusol?
No, that's a sweet name thow.
It's a sweet name. It's a great name. Yeah.
Price check on Anusol. Anusol.
Like you might as well be announcing that you've got an itchy ass to the entire world.
Which, hey, Not that we're judging, all right? Itchy ass happens. Take care of that shit. Don't, no pun intended there. Anyways. Oh, this is a bad show. Now our sponsors, fuck, if they thought the lead into their ad was bad, wait till they hear what happened in the 30 seconds after their ad. I'm never going to have a sponsor on this fucking show again. Oh my God. So we were, before our horrible ass talk, we were talking about how you can destroy. So one of the cool things about this game, like the only non-racing strategy in F-Zero X is you can attack to your left, attack to your right, or do like a big spin attack. And you can try to take out the other cars around you. And if you, because again, it's 30 racers per race. And it always, after the first race, whoever is highest in the standings that isn't you will be marked your rival. And this game does the same thing most racing games do, where there's 5 or 6 cars in this case that are going to be near the top of the standings. 2 or 3, they're always going to be competing for first. And those are the ones you need to worry about. And if you destroy other cars, I think it's if you destroy 5 cars in a race, you get an extra life. But if you can destroy your rival, the person that's battling with you the most in the standings, then if you can finish that race in any position, you get points and they get a 0 and they don't get to start over. They have to wait until the next race.
I didn't know, because I was never able to take out the rival.
Me neither.
Like, I took out other cars, never was able to take out the rival. So I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, I was never, and that was like one of the big hints I was reading was they were like, especially when you get into the higher difficulties, they're like, the name of the game is to destroy your rival. And I was the same as you, because I'll tell you, buddy, when you start to get a feel for it, when you know you're going into like a fairly hard turn, particularly or preferably one with walls on the side, because I straight up couldn't do the attacks in areas where there were no walls, or I was going off the track. I need to fucking, when there's no walls, I need to keep my eyes on the road and dial it in. But when I've got a bumper wall to run into, when you're going into that turn with a bunch of other cars, you start mashing that spin attack and you'll come out of there with 3 or 4 destroyed cars in a good run. But the problem is, like you said, the rival seems to get ahead of early. And then it's always like I could get side by side with them and bump into them, but I was never, maybe with more practice, but I was never able to destroy them. And I think that's probably a big part of the game, is taking your rival out at least once. Because if you, let's say you take your rival out and then you finish even 10th, you still got like 70 points on them. And I was always losing by like 20 or 30 points. Like, and the problem was I couldn't always beat my rival, but I was never able to take them out. But I like that. And I'm curious where you are on this. Do you like that attack mechanic, or do you think it should just be racing? Because F-Zero, the Super Nintendo one, didn't have that.
Yeah, I do like it, because it doesn't, because like we were mentioning before the break, this is 100% a skill game, and that doesn't really change that. It doesn't really change the like core philosophy of the game.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I like them as well. They take a lot of practice. Those attacks, just like everything else in this game.
At it.
No, this game demands practice. This is not a game you can play like once every 2 months and be good at. This game is like, you better, I hate the term get good, but this game is telling you, hey, get good or fuck off.
And listen, I did not spend enough time with this game to get good.
No, it takes a lot of time. I did go into did you play the death race mode at all?
No, how does the death race work?
So I tried the death race a little bit just to try to practice. And I will say, if any of you, after listening to this episode, decide you want to go out and play some F-Zero X, which I recommend playing, I recommend spending a little bit of time in the death race just for practice on your attacks. Basically, you just go on a long stretch of, it's like a straight way. There aren't any turns. Like, it's just a straightaway track with an energy path at one point to get your health back. And there's 30 cars, you and 29 other cars. And the only objective of the game is to destroy the 29 other cars as fast as possible.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I do like that.
It's a lot of practice. The only problem with it is, like I said, there aren't any turns. And so you never get that opportunity where you're going into like a 90-degree turn and you could do the spin into the wall and crash 2 or 3 cars. The only way you're taking them out is letting them pull up alongside you and then either side attacking them or spinning into them. And a lot of this track, I can't remember if it's the whole thing, but a lot of the track, there's no walls. So it's forcing you to keep your shit together. And I found it very, very difficult, but I found it I genuinely feel like that mode is only there for players to go practice how to take out other cars. Like
And
the time attack is cool, but I feel like it's there to teach you how to
now, Death
attack.
Race, could you play that in multiplayer?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
again didn't play the multiplayer here. I have no friends, but the death race mode itself, if I'm not mistaken, was just one player. I might be wrong there, but I think it was just one player.
Because I think that would be really cool. Like, that would be a really cool multiplayer experience then, if it was just about who can take out who here, who can take out the most cars, or whoever the last
I agree.
standing is.
I agree. I'll agree with that. I mean, but that said though, they were like, yeah, you have your multiplayer mode. Get out of here. So that's really the two major strategies are try to take your turns as unaggressively as humanly possible, and try to destroy your rival, because if you do, you're going to get a massive advantage. Now, the one other thing that I didn't realize played as big a role as it, and I'm ashamed that I didn't realize it until I started playing with more of the cars, was like, did you pay a lot of attention to your racer's stats when you picked a car? Because those mattered like big time.
I didn't. I just kind of picked whatever was in the middle.
Okay. So the three I think the three things are acceleration, boost, and body. Or no, it's boost, grip, and body is what it is. Boost, grip, and body. And body is how much damage your car can take before it explodes. Grip is how well your car grips the road for turns. And then boost is how fast you accelerate or boost when you use your boost. And everything I read was like, you want a grip of preferably A or B, be it like maybe C, but B or better. And then you want a decent body. And so I can't remember her name, but there was one of the characters was like a female in like a white car. And she became my ace because she had good grip. And if someone literally turns the show on right now, they're going to be like, what are they talking about? She has a good grip and she has a good body. Like it was, or no, I don't remember if it was grip and I don't remember if it was body or boost, but she had good grip. And I found it so much easier to, again, just slightly take the turns. And then also once you pick your car, you can either level up your speed or you could level up your acceleration, like your top speed or your acceleration. And I found that mattered too, because on tracks where there weren't a lot of turns, it was all about speed. On tracks where there were, it was all about my acceleration, so I could get sped back up. But again, like I don't want to criticize it for not teaching you this, because we have to remember this is a game from the 90s. They had instruction manuals back then. But I was shocked at just what a big emphasis, like what a big difference you're like when you play Mario Kart. I know there's a difference between Bowser and Toad, but it was more of just like, hey, who do you like? You know? And that wasn't the case in this one. Like Eraser's stats made a massive difference in how they handled. So I don't know if you'll. What's that?
Said, I actually went online and I read some of the bios for the racers. Did you ever have you ever looked into these characters?
Yeah, some of them have like, I was like, considering that like when you actually just play the game, they're just 30 faces with cool looking cars.
Yeah,
somebody wrote some cool bios.
Yeah, like one of them is an alien that's 126 years old. One of them's like, probably the girl that you were using. She's like new on the scene, but she's kind of a dark horse and up and comer.
Yeah.
Probably because she's got good grip and body.
Yeah. Like again though, like even I know it doesn't matter and they don't really talk about it in the game, but even just the story of F-Zero and about how like this game is years after the original because people have decided to
banned because people kept dying, and so they're bringing it back, and like that's never cool. Explained in the game. That must be like instruction manual only.
Yeah, 100%. But it's cool that they would take that effort and put it into it. I got a kick out of that. I thought that was really neat. We would be remiss. I wrote down the stuff I wanted to. So we mentioned the controls. We mentioned the variety of characters and how you can change the courses and everything. The tracks themselves, we were talking about this at the beginning. We were talking about how impressive this game is to look at. Shaylee actually was watching me play it a couple of times and she was like, it's making me motion sick. Like this game, because the tracks are so bright and colorful and you're doing loop-de-loops and going on ceilings, or there's zero gravity and you're on like, there's that one track where you're on that long tube and there's zippers all around the tube. And I never win that course because I have yet to figure out where the zippers are to know to like steer into them.
Yeah.
But it feels awesome when you're flying across it. Like, it feels like you're going it's saying you're going like 700-800 kilometers an hour.
And it does feel like 700-800 kilometers an hour. That
It
was the
really
thing that
does.
impressed me the most about this game, was its emphasis on speed and its ability to deliver the promise of it.
Agreed. I always felt the Super Nintendo one did a good job of that, because that was a launch title on the SNES. And they had very limited hardware, and they didn't know that hardware that well, and it felt like you were going fast. But this one took it to the next level. Like, the backgrounds and stuff away from the track aren't very nice to look at, but you're never looking at them, because you're looking at your car and you're looking at the track, and like the track below you with the way it has like dull looking roads, but then bright lights in them sometimes and stuff. Like, they really, I know it sounds dumb to be like, game looks nice, but like, this game just looks really nice. I just like, even just watching other people play it online. By the way, did you watch anyone play this online?
No.
Buddy, watching someone play this at like a high skill level is it's pretty fucking impressive, man.
And that's
It made
one
me
thing
feel
I actually do like. I do like watching people who are good at video games play video games.
me too.
Just weirdly like it makes like, you'll watch it and you'll go like, "Oh, okay, well I can play this game. Like, that looks easy." That's the thing. Like, people who are really good at video games make difficult video games look easy.
Yeah, agreed. And like, you watch somebody that's really good play this game, and it's like, it's fucking, and then you have a little bit more time. The thing about watching this game is you have a little bit more time to like take in the course and like look at the track and stuff. And it's pretty crisp, man.
Man, and
And
that's
then
the one thing that I always want to do whenever I'm playing a racing game. You never do, because you're in a racing game. You're kind of in a hurry, but I always kind of just want to stop and explore the track.
yeah. Yeah,
Like,
yeah, you can't do that in this one.
No,
No, this one,
You
no.
will die.
You will die, or you'll lose embarrassingly. Yeah, they're lapping you before you know it.
But like Mute City and like Mario, like in Mario Kart 8,
it's hot.
It's a mass. Like, it's so detailed. It's so gorgeous. And
Yeah.
I really have always just wanted to explore Mute City.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And again, like, to take it back there, it does make you wonder what a modern F-Zero could look like based on those two tracks in Mario Kart 8. It turns me
Based
on.
on what we've seen like recently.
Yeah. One of the other things F-Zero does that I like, and this goes back to like the Super Nintendo one, is I've always enjoyed that you don't have your boost on the first lap. Because it's like, hey, for the first lap, it's all about skills, try to pull away from the pack a little bit. And then at the beginning of lap 2, you get your boost. But what I love is that in this one, when you use your boost, it takes away from your health. And so you can use your boost as much as you want, but you need to preserve enough health. Because like Mark said, if you get blown up, there is no wait 5 seconds and start over. It's like, you lost, try again. And there's usually
I really
only
need to emphasize how much I suck at this game, that once I figured out that that's how the boost worked, I never used the boost, because I was barely making it to those like every time I saw one of those sections where it was like, okay, this pink stretch of road is going to heal your car, I was always like, oh, phew, just made it.
Yeah. And that's an F-Zero staple. And they do that in Mario Kart 8. I love that you can go in there and get your coins if you drive through the charging path. In this one, there's like usually one section per track. Occasionally there's multiples, but usually it's one section per track where you're going to drive through and you can get your health back. And that was another thing that was coming up a lot in the strategies I was reading, is they were like, you need to know these tracks, you need to be good at avoiding damage, and you need to, at the higher difficulties, you need to boost until you're practically on life support, because you need to be moving in this fucking game. And so it becomes I actually think it's possibly the coolest thing about, like, I like it more than the attacking other racers. I love the strategy of trying to weigh the risk versus reward of how much of your own health are you willing to gamble with by boosting. And again, part of knowing the tracks is knowing when that recharge portion is coming up, so that you can start, like, I'll start hitting it more when I know the recharge is around the next corner. But you need to know that it's there. I love that. I'm a huge fan of that risk reward system.
Yeah.
Of turboing, but it damages your health. But I'm in the same boat as you, man. I had many a time where I got into that. It's like, that I've never been lost in the desert dying of thirst, but I imagine when they see water or the oasis, that is what it feels like. It's akin to the feeling in F-Zero of seeing that health rejuvenation strip. And
I'm
you're
like,
like,
I'm just making it as it is. I'm hitting the sides. I'm slamming into other cars.
yeah, you're like, oh, thank the good Lord. Oh my
It's like
God.
it's mayhem for me out there. It's
Yeah.
and like a lot of like I don't know if you guys caught me on the stream last like the Mario Kart stream last week. I'm not good at racing games. I love racing games. I am not good at them.
Well, but I mean, you're fine. I will say, particularly in a game like fucking F-Zero, like, I think 3 out of 4 people that play this game probably aren't good at it. But I think it's a testament to how good the game is that like you don't have to be good to still be like, this is still really fun.
Yeah, I had a blast with this game. I
Yeah.
sucked at. I didn't win a single race, I don't think. I came in second once, and that was my victory.
Nice. and then
I was
if
born to runner up.
Nice pull. Shout out to who gets that reference. I missed doing this show. We're recording. It's my first one in like a month. It feels good. The only other thing I can think of to mention. Oh, there's 2 other things. Just really quickly, when you've beat all the cups, you finally eventually. So you have the Jack, Queen, King, and then you get the Joker Cup. And then if you beat them all in like all the settings, eventually you get the X Cup. And the X Cup is like randomly designed tracks.
Which is really impressive. Like we didn't get that shit in Mario Kart.
No, I think that is
really
magnificent.
Cool.
Yeah. Like you want to talk about replay value? Like it's to me like the 2 factors that give you replay value in this game, assuming you're not playing multiplayer. One is either time trial and trying to get the best times you can, or 2 is the only problem with the X Cup, and I again using the only problem with the X Cup is the random courses are great, but the computer themselves, like I don't think they're able to program the AI to dominate on those courses like they are the preset courses. So the challenge just isn't quite like it's the yin and yang of it is the computer doesn't know these tracks, so they're not ripping around them like they are the ones that are pre-designed in, but neither are you because you've got, a few laps to learn this fucking track. But that's such a I think more racing games need that. Because that's some end game shit.
That's such a smart way to challenge the player in a game like this. Because so much of this game is about memorizing the course. So the very end, they're like, "Oh man, you really nailed memorizing all these courses. Here's courses you can't memorize."
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see how good you actually are at this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that was I was a little bit. I didn't know that was in there, and I was a little bit blown away. I was like, "What a brilliant fucking idea." For a game that, let's be honest, keep in mind, this is a game from the mid-90s. There's enough content in this game between the cups and the multiplayer that and the death race and the time trials that random course generator was not necessary. It's awesome that it's there, but they would have gotten, I don't think anyone would have complained there wasn't enough content in the game without it.
That said, I really do wish that the Nintendo Switch Online version had the expansion. Because there was an expansion for this game. It only came out in Japan, where it had a bunch of new courses and it had a course builder.
Oh Jesus, an F-Zero course builder.
Yeah. It was for that disk drive that they sold for the N64 that was really only a thing in Japan.
Yeah.
But so there's games like that there's things like that have been built that just have never seen the light of day over here. And I really think Nintendo Switch Online would have been the perfect place for that. So it's a little disappointing that they didn't include that with the N64 Online version.
Sure. Well, they might have thought nobody's going to beat this one. We don't need to give them more. No one's going to fucking beat this game. I'm not disagreeing with you. It's like we got one of the 2 handheld F-Zeros that just got added to Nintendo Switch Online never left Japan before either. So the Japanese, they're hogging all the good stuff.
Yeah, Mother 3. When are we getting?
Fuck. Yeah, where the fuck is that? That's a whole different fucking rant.
The original Animal Crossing was a game for the N64. Did you know that? Only Japan.
I don't think I did. I'm not the biggest Animal Crossing guy, but I don't think I did know that. But they get everything.
Yeah, it was called Animal
Everything.
Forest, and it
Fucking
was only out on the N64 in Japan.
bastards. Well, that's because every time they like, fucking dude. Like I say this with all nothing but respect. I always joke. I don't know if it's considered racist if a comment is a positive thing, and I'm like, I genuinely fear the Japanese when it comes to video games. Like when I get online, like I love Tetris 99, and I have well over 100 wins in Tetris 99. But I bet you, yeah, I bet you of my 100, say I have 110 wins in Tetris 99. I bet you maybe 5 have come when the Japanese players are at full time playing capacity. Like I try to get it in when it's like 2 a.m. over there and they're not playing because
that's the same
they
with
will wreck
Splatoon.
you.
I will be like rocking against like kids named like Mitch or
Sure.
Doug or whatever. But as soon as I see like a Japanese name, I'm like, well, fit.
Yeah. Oh, dude, when I was playing Splatoon, I don't play a lot of Splatoon these days, but when I was playing Splatoon, I was the same way. I was like, I'm getting on at like 10 a.m. Saturday morning, and then I'm just gonna like, I look like the adult playing pond hockey with the kids, and I'm just wrecking them, and then I'm getting out of there before the good players show up. So.
You're getting out of there before.
Yes, before the Japanese show up because they're monsters. Again, if that's considered racist, I apologize. I fear you. You're very good at video games, my friends. I love that country so much. They're monsters.
Well, and I think Splatoon specifically is a lot bigger in Japan than it is here.
Oh yeah.
So they have just like all of the best players are going to be in Japan.
Sure. The last thing I want to mention about this game before we shut this thing down is like if we don't, I'm gonna get angry letters for months. The fucking soundtrack to this game.
Okay,
Mark.
yeah, because that is the one thing that I really did want to talk about this game too. Because because there are definitely times when you can tell, like, okay, this is like MIDI music that they had for the N64, but there are some times when I'm like, is this live music? Because they didn't have the technology to include live music in N64 games at the time. So there was like parts where I'm like, this sounds like real instruments. And so they just really used the sounds that were available to them really, really well. And of course, like the songs themselves are hardcore bangers. Like,
they like, and I mean, it was the same way on the Super Nintendo.
It's a classic. It's a classic.
F-Zero music on its worst day is great. But the soundtrack to this game, like you mentioned, the music on 64 games aren't traditionally like if you've ever played a wrestling game, dude, like if you ever played, for all you listeners that have played WWF No Mercy, the wrestlers' entrance themes on the Nintendo 64 sounded like you were playing them from like a dying Walkman that was held up to a walkie-talkie, and then they recorded on the other end of the walkie-talkie, and they were in like a factory where people were vacuuming. Like it just sounds awful. It sounds awful. And then you hear the soundtrack to F-Zero X and you're like, I would just listen to this in my car. This is unfucking believable. Like the music to this game is, I'll sit here right now and say like, it may not be the most memorable or iconic soundtrack on the Nintendo 64, but it is one of, if not the best pure soundtrack on the Nintendo 64. From a music perspective, like it's really fucking good, man.
Yeah, and it's just basic MIDI. It's just basic MIDI like samples that they use. And it's again like the way they use the sounds that are available to them is so impressive. It's really good.
And it captured, like you've already heard a couple of the songs, everybody, and we're gonna be probably wrap this up in the next 3 or 4 minutes. So you're gonna hear more music here shortly, but like not only is the music just really good to listen to, but in a game where it's all about like adrenaline and like you're gripping the controller tight and you're flying around corners and it feels tense and extreme, the music adds to that tension because it's either kind of lower and
it does have this theme of speed to it.
Yeah, like, it does.
Just listening to it, you feel like it feels like you're going fast just by listening to it.
Yeah, like, and it was, you know what I found really cool was that some of the music was a little bit I don't want to say slower, but a little bit more mellow and bassy and like intense. And it was like, hey, if you make a wrong turn, you're gonna fucking die. Hold on, here we go. And then some of the music was like, go fast, fucking go faster. Like it was just, and they said each other like if the whole soundtrack had been go fast, it would have gotten old. But you'd have 2 or 3 tracks like that, and then have one of those tracks where it was like, you're gonna die when you fuck up, like really deep, and then it would go back to like, but go fast, and it was awesome, man. I have nothing but good things to say about this game. My only major complaint about fzero X is that I don't even know if I can say it's I do think the learning curve. I can't decide if I think the learning curve is too steep because this came out in an era where we didn't have online and $3.99 games and Nintendo Switch Online and Game Pass and stuff like that. So you might have only had 7 or 8 games. And if this was one of your 7 or 8 games, as I know a lot of you that wrote in about it, it was. I don't know if the learning curve was too steep because it probably gave you a lot of play time for your money because it took that many reps to get good. It's just going back and trying to play it now when you've got 3 trillion other games waiting to play. I don't know how many people would fire fzero X up for the first time now and then dedicate like 30 hours to getting really good at it.
Yeah, because it's just because like the way we've been programmed, the amount of games there are. I played this game a lot this weekend. I've picked it up once or twice in the past, and I'll play for like 5 minutes and then I'll turn it off. Like it wasn't until like we agreed to do this episode that I'm like, okay, I really got to play this game.
Yeah, I agree. I'm like, I'll be honest with you, dude. Like it falls into the same category. It's what does Homer say to Bart when Bart gives up playing the guitar? He's like, we'll just put the guitar in the closet next to your fucking. I don't remember what there was a unicycle. I don't remember. There was like a bunch of other
stuff
hobbies
he never got good at.
Yeah, stuff he had tried and then never went back to. And I hate to say it, but I think this is going to fall into that category. Not because it's done anything wrong. I just have too many other things to get to play. But if you are like looking for a good 20, 30 hour racing game that's going to take you some time to really get good at, fucking check out fzero X.
This is the one, yeah.
Yeah, I'm slowly collecting physical copies of all my favorite retro games, and I think fzero X has done enough that I'm gonna eventually shell out for a physical copy for my shelf.
Oh, nice.
I like it. It's a good fucking game. Have you got anything else? I think we've covered all the major.
We covered the music, covered the characters. That was the thing that I found the most interesting about the game.
Yeah.
Hard game, which was good. Doesn't fuck around. Doesn't hold your hand. It's nice.
Yeah. I like my girls with a lot of body and grip, and I like my games hard. Really, I like things hard. How do we score this thing?
Okay, well, X is like 10, so like
out of 10. Let's should do that. Because it actually works this time. We'll do it out of...
I found a creative way to be really uncreative.
Agreed. And I want to do it. I want to score it out of Roman numeral 10.
Out of Roman numeral 10.
Out of I to X, how many Roman numerals would you give fzero X?
I'm going to give it a VII.
All right.
Which, good game, really good game. Not something that I would have spent a ton of time playing otherwise.
Sure. That's fair. I'm going to go VII. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I because like outside of the difficulty, which I don't think is a bad thing, I can't think of anything else about it that I really ding it for.
You know what?
I love looking at it. I love
agree
playing
with you. VIII, like it gets that extra I. Like VII was maybe a bit too low.
It does nothing wrong, really. Like
it does nothing wrong. Definitely not like the type of game I usually play. Definitely not a game I got good at, but for what it does it really well.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. And I'm glad I finally got around to do this. I got to pick up fzero for the GameCube at some point now, which apparently is even fucking harder, which is crazy. This is a pretty tough fucking game. Mark, that was good. Good job. That was fun. It's good to have you on Remember the Game. Everyone, you may remember Mark from such podcasts as Purple Monkey Dishwasher. And that's it.
I'm always down to talk video games.
Yeah, you keep saying that, and I'm always like, get back in your Purple Monkey Dishwasher hole. But we need to get you back on Remember the Game more often. That said, I know the roadmap for the rest of the year on Remember the Game, and you probably won't be back until 2025. So I'll just say thanks for. I mean, I'll talk to you on Purple Monkey Dishwasher every week, which you can find at patreon.com/Remember the Game. But here on Remember the Game, this will probably be it. So thanks as always, man, for all the time you take to play old games for this stupid podcast.
Dude, of course.
And that is going to do it for this week's episode. Mark, thank you so much for giving me a call and talking F-Zero X. And I'm not going to say more importantly, but between me and you, and more importantly, thank you to you for listening to this show, everybody. Thank you so much. I know I took a couple of weeks away. Longest break I've taken since I started this podcast. You guys were so supportive. The kind words have been just humbling. I don't even know what to say. Just thank you so much for all the support, everybody. And it is fucking good to be back. This show isn't going anywhere. I love Remember the Game. I love doing this podcast. And this show stops when I stops. And I'm not stopping quite yet. So thank you all so much, everybody. I'm going to thank some patrons and get out of here. Don't forget, if you still want to get in on our Extra Life donations, you're helping the Stollery Children's Hospital here in Edmonton, $20 or more, and you'll be entered to win video games or Remember the Game swag. We'll be doing those draws in probably the second week of December. So you got a couple weeks left. Hit up rememberthegamepodcast.com to donate. Find me at twitch.tv/rememberthegame or youtube.com/rememberthegame. And I stream there, and I got some Let's Plays up on YouTube and stuff. It's good times. And, oh yeah, I always forget to mention it, but you can find me on Cameo. Adam Blank on Cameo. I only charge like $20. If you know someone that listens to the show and you want to send them a Cameo for a Christmas gift, I'll take it. I'll take I think I get like $12 or $13 of it. I'll take your $12 or $13 to yell at somebody, so hit me up over there, okay? All right, good enough. I'm going to thank some patrons and leave. Thank you so much for listening. If you're a patron, I'll be back tomorrow with my Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom review. And for everybody, we'll be back in 7 days with Remember the Game 318, which, assuming nothing goes catastrophically wrong, will be about Castlevania 3 for the NES. And at this point, after playing it over my holidays for a couple weeks, I think there are two types of people in this world. People that think Castlevania 3 is one of the best games on the NES, and people that have never played Castlevania 3. Should be a gooder. Take it easy, everybody. Talk to you later. Cheers. Remember the Game is brought to you by our Patreons. I could not puke up all this content without all of your support, and the following people are the senior executive vice president level or higher at patreon.com/rememberthegame. As such, I'm contractually obligated to say their names as quickly as I possibly can. So we're just going to go in order from oldest to newest. I'm rusty. I got to stick with what I know. A huge, sincere, heartfelt thank you to Remember the Game Hall of Famer, Slick motherfucking Rick. Makeshift Mellow Magic Money, Joe Buck, Sharonic, J Nasty 15, I Like George, they're comfy and easy to wear, James Clark, Dave McGee, Dan of Dissect That Film, Doug Dorn, Chris Fleury, Andrew Wright, Jordan, Confused But Still Here, Eldest Millennial, Lil Bunny Fufu 89, Angry Ticks, Dave Thompson, No One Cares, Scott Brooks, Aaron Lawson, JSK Fusick, A-Town, Morgan, Zane Donovan, Ryan Kinchin, Mike Maloney, G9PSX, Mercury 869, Wolfgang Darren, Andy Hudson, Doogie, Wolf Magic 21, Johnny from Virginia, Squints, Titan 420s, Uncle 504, Jeff Bergeron, Daniel, John Woodruff, Randy Barrage, Just a Fish, Stealthy Foot Fetish, Holmes, Zach Shepard, Triple, Chugger 22, Elijah Burns, It's That Nerd, James, Madam Nutsitch, DBXJ, Steve Dulk, Standard Ass Brian, Dude, Where's My Game, Mizuru, Juris Dr. Mario, Tyler, Phil Lencher, Joe the Sandman, Jake Carter, Biddy, Laces Out Dan, Growlywog, Beaver Boy, Thomas Smith, Leroy Westrich, Rush's Dog Walker, Stud Still Smash, Brant, Matt Babanu, Gabe, Dan Fusselman, Fuzzy99, Decoy Man, a dude named Adam, Wyatt the Surgeon, who is not in fact a surgeon, Rowe, Blaine the Hoagie Man, Scary Terry, Archangel Otaku, Earl, Hegel Waffle, High Plains Drifter, Jimothy, Oroku Saki's Gardener, Coda, Insensitivity Training Blaze, Cody Richardson, General Fury, I cancel my Netflix to afford this shout out, Max Lagroom, James Von Francesco, John of the Adult Children's Podcast, Drugs are bad, okay, Sam Carpenter, Donnie the Dude Walter, Nerdy Hybrid, The Fletchman, Sleeper Hits, Squeak Nuts, Isaias, Timmy the Exuberant Turtle, Wimp 15, Christian Gabriel, Maverick Marty, Musty Beetle, Graham Kennedy, Timothy Sabrinsky, My Left Nut, Beef Dingleberry, Hitchy Poo, Burt Macklin, Quiet Place Queen, Christopher Britt, Zamatos, Big the Cat, Tadpole, T-Bear 87, Maverick, Brendan DeZeba, Kia Pup, Monstrous the Boner, AB Killen, Works for Me, Alexander Camps, Tommy Two-Tone, Ted Explosion, Ryan Perry, Alex R, Itchy Nutsuru, Just Car Pranks, Rated Excellent, Darth Skywalter, Postman, Youngster TK, Adam Martinet, The Big Deal, Kevin Monroe, Can't Destroy Her, Nordak, Leroy Jenkins, Maud Palmerston, Beers of War, Because 19, Infinity Rage, Marcus Mendoza, Lord Longrod von Hugendom II, Roger Staubach, Spool Cleaner, Lucas Shaman, Frosty Bear, Max Saindon, Sour Goatface, Alex Ramos, Faded Sufferance, Benjamin Atkins, Carbon Fiber Zombie, Chris Hill is a Master Tromboner, Mellow Yellow 8787, DB Money, Penguin Milk, Ballin' Snow Kiku, The Supreme Chorizo, Fill Up My Farts with Mouth, E-Man Trucker, Mark Sneech, Shoeboxers, Adam Blank still hasn't removed Mario Galaxy, Jake Callahan, Robbie Ayers, Sabin, Brian Richmond, Blobby Rogers, Bula, Blast Processing Won the War, All Hail Sega, Matt Zeus, Plow King, Cesar, Fill Up My Mouth with Farts, Liquor Like Luigi, Cody Thompson, Put It in H, Chaz Hammond, Elephant Calves, Ace McGuy, Mr. Jabroni, Big Daddy Randall, Out of Yellow, Ryan Whitcomb, AJ McCurgy, Daddy's Secret Little Chubby, Nothing Could Possibly Go Wrong, Toby OP, Scotty McGee, Alex McIntyre, Spider Cat, Z Train 22, S. Eric Hopewell, Darbles, Krusty's Clogger, David Schroeder, Theodore, Diablo Spartan, Justin Blair, McCracken, Wilco, VOS Rager, Super Jess, Captain Steve N, Adam's former assistant, Ryan Stemmerding, Shank the Rat-Faced Bastard, Crystal Lake Management, Leo, Dazer Wraith, Super Saiyan Safarioth, Savage Boosh, The Grim Patron, Combo Chuck, MacGyver 88, Travis Sanders, Lord Salazar, Zen Paladin, Captain Asbury Juice, Doogie Bowser MD, Rest in Peace Koopalings, Thunderleaps, Benjamin Berry, Jinxie 425, Akiris Network, Horrorstalgia, a podcast, Fancy Store-Bought Dirt, and Botfacher. That was a good fucking batch of shoutouts, if I do say so myself. Thank you so much, everybody. It's good to be back. Cheers.